You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Today is going to be a really good show. Brad Weisgerber is not with us. Brad Weisgerber, probably not even listening. He's camping. He bought a camper, went across up in Michigan to the UP where he's from. I mean, anybody out there in the world or the country that doesn't understand the UP, it's literally probably its own country, let alone state within Michigan. So it's a very different world. So if you're out there listening, Brad, hopefully you're having fun. I heard you hit your foot with an axe. Is that what he did, Sal?
Sledgehammer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So what's up?
Get hurt.
He's got
Yeah.
So Paul Paslakis, Salvatore Kuzmano, we are Inside Real Estate. We have a special guest today. He is our own Nathan Nix. How are you? Can we get those claps? The clap things? Yeah. Can we do that again for him? Let's see that again. Yeah. There we go. That's amazing. All right. Today, I definitely want to talk about the story that we're following, which is the lawsuit. I also want to talk about the jobs report that came out, kind of what's happening with the economy. And I also want to talk about Nick's. Your story is a good story. I think it's poignant to talk about and see how you got into the industry and what you're doing. That's, I think it's poignant because there's a lot of loan officers and people getting into the industry, and your work ethic and kind of the things that you're doing, I think is going to be important to talk about. First and foremost, thank you everybody that subscribed and left reviews. Anybody that's listening, we really appreciate it. If it's the first time listening, we appreciate you finding us. We're just a couple idiots that talk about real estate. That should be the show's name. A few idiots talking about real estate. I don't know if that'll work.
It's a little long.
Long. It's too long, right? Yeah. So we'll start with Nathan. Mr. Nathan Nix.
Yes, sir.
People call you Nate.
They do.
You don't like it, though.
I don't care. Just don't say it around my mom.
Your mom doesn't like Nate.
That's not the name I gave.
Do you have a middle
His
name?
is Nathan.
Do you have a
I
middle
do, and I'm not going to share it on
Whoa,
here.
whoa. We got a little secretive on the middle
I
name?
refuse to share my middle name.
What is it, like Humphrey or?
No.
Come on, man. Just get
Humphrey.
I don't know.
I keep it a secret. You can ask just about anybody. Unless you, know me like that.
I mean, it's public record, man. I'm going to look it up the moment we go to work.
Then do that. Take the effort and go find it because I'm not going to share it. I cannot. I can't stand it.
No, I know what it is. I don't know it off the tip of my tongue right now, but I remember looking it up.
Anybody that's listening to the show, go to the NMLS right now, Consumer Access, and please look it up and let us know what it is. So Nathan, you jumped on board with us a few months ago now, right?
Almost two.
Almost 2 months now, right? So talk to us about how you got into the industry because obviously you had, you came out of the military.
Mm-hmm.
You were a Marine, and by the way, everybody, he wasn't just we got, we got Kyle in our office who just, he's never done anything. Actually, he says he's
shots
he's
fired so hard right there.
But my dude here, Nathan, actually, you saw combat, you went to Afghanistan. You've got a flag, an Afghani flag in your room, which was interesting. I saw that. So talk to me about that experience and how that transitioned into you doing mortgages, which is interesting.
So I joined the military when I was 17, literally straight out of high school. Actually, I had to have my mom's permission to even join. You have to have parental consent if you're not 18. So I got my mom's permission.
What made you want to join? I'm just curious at that time. Because at 17, bro, I didn't know who. I mean, what are you doing with life, right?
It's just what I wanted to do. I don't know when it started, but that was in my brain what I was going to do. I wanted to be a sniper. I wanted to be in the military. I didn't know the Marine Corps existed initially until a couple people that graduated before me pulled me into the Marine Corps office because all I seen on the commercials was this guy fighting a dragon with a sword, and I'm like, I don't. But they literally show nothing other than flaming dragons and swords, and then a guy in this goofy looking hat.
But they have a sword.
They do.
That's some dope shit.
I do not have one. I should have gotten one.
You never got a sword?
If you get a real one, they're called NCO swords. They're expensive.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right.
Wasn't that important to me.
Got it. Okay. So you went in because you thought it was cool or something, right?
Yeah, it just was appealing to me.
All right, and then you actually got deployed.
Mm-hmm. My first deployment was right after I turned 19, 2009, 2010, and then I deployed again about 6 months after, basically about 2011. Both my first ones were Afghanistan. They were fun.
That screw you up a little bit? I don't know, man. It's got to be pretty wild over there.
I don't know.
That's a hard. Yeah,
I don't know. It depends on who you ask.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, you seem pretty well put together now. So
yeah, I guess some people are just good at showing face. I've had my own issues. I've had to go through. a handful of counseling stuff like that because
It's
it got well.
tough.
So I guess to answer your question, yeah, it has. But the issue that I had was so my first 6 years. So I did 8 altogether. My first 6 years, I had 4 deployments. So basically, I trained, deployed, came back, trained, deployed constantly, right? And when you're doing that, you're never allowing yourself to decompress. So you never feel anything, right? The pain doesn't set in, your brain doesn't start to jumble up. So it wasn't until I started teaching at a trauma school my last, year and a half, 2 years that my body just started breaking.
Like mentally, your brain is just defragmenting. Like
Back started killing me all the time. My feet started dying. My hips started dying. My knees started dying.
Wow.
My shoulders started dying. I started having,
It's kind of like an old person. Like as soon as like they
Stop
retire,
as soon as you
right?
retire, because you think about it, if you're constantly doing something it's like when you run, right? When you run, your legs are numb.
Yeah,
you get to
yeah.
the runner's high and you're kind of going, and then as soon as you stop, your body collapses.
Right.
I did a special operations tryout. It's called Assessment and Selection for MARSOC, and you do an 8 mile, you do 2 8 miles, a 10 mile, and a 12 mile ruck run with your full uniform. You got a rifle filled with cement, and you got like a 65-pound pack on. And when you do your 12 mile, like when I did my 12 mile, it's really like 13. So like it's essentially a half marathon.
Yeah.
And all that, right? And you hurt while you're on it, but the best part is after like mile 3.
Because you just go
Because
numb.
your legs go numb. And at that point, there's techniques, 3-1, whatever it is that you do. You get to the finish line. I remember I got to the finish line, finished 2 hours and 22 minutes, and they gave me my time. I walked over to a tree. I stopped and I fell. Like I literally could not stand up.
Bro,
because
Sal, he's telling me yesterday about this story. He's like, we were running, and like, I started crying involuntarily. He's like, I was laughing, but my body was in so much pain. I literally was just crying.
Yeah. So that was sniper school. That's what I was telling you. Sniper school is great. Though all these things are great because it's like everybody's suffering equally.
Yeah.
Unless you're just a stud, there's studs everywhere. But like everyone is in. You can't go through sniper school. You can't go through MARSOC, assessment and selection and all that and just be fine. Like, or you're not putting out. People see that, instructors see that, and then you start getting thrashed. But it was just one of those days where I don't know what, it just, everything hurt.
Spared.
Yeah, and we were running. It wasn't like I was like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I hate my life. Like, I loved it, but I just remember running, and like I could feel like my body like quivering. And we were in, it was in Hawaii, and it's hot. And we're sweating, and I remember I was so confused in my own head. I asked my buddy, I told him, I was like, dude, I am literally crying right now. I was like, you can't tell because I'm sweating so bad, but he just was like, what? I was like, I know it sounds stupid. I was like, my body is literally crying. Like, I'm not meaning to. I was like, but I'm in so much pain that like I'm literally crying right now. And
That's wild.
But it was funny because it's like you can't cry. I can't complain about it. One, it's voluntary. I can quit. I can leave whenever I wanted. And 2, there's 36 other people doing the exact same thing.
So it's always interesting, and we could talk about that all day long.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're a real estate show, but the thing that I always find interesting is anybody that goes through sports or like, and then I'm not comparing this to sport, but something where you have a high regiment, high performance type thing. A lot of those people I've seen, they do actually end up transitioning over to like a sales type role because it kind of transitions well. So talk to me about when all that went done and through. And again, we could talk about that all day.
Yeah.
And I think there's a huge disservice done to a lot of veterans when they come back. But you had to kind of figure out, who am I going to be when I finish that?
Yeah, I had zero intention of ever getting out of the military. I was going to do 20 years in the military and then retire and find a government job, do 20 years there, double retirement at 57. But I had a friend that just had some nice things all the time, and I asked him, what do you do? And he's like, I do mortgages. He worked for a big company down in Detroit. And
you can say their name.
well, he worked for Quicken. Applied, never got a call back.
Yeah.
Super veteran friendly.
Did you just look at the camera?
I did.
Yeah.
So super veteran friendly. Applied, never got a call back.
Yeah.
But
By the way, Panozzi and Ryan are capping on you.
They better.
They're talking about your hairline.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
Thanks, best friends.
All right, keep going.
Jerk.
Up for this. Man.
And these are my friends. That's the military for you, though, right there.
Yeah. They're great guys.
But that's just, I asked him how it was, and he said, I was like, so what is like math and talking to people? And he's like, I mean, pretty much. And I was like, I can do that. I had a third contract that I got approved to do reconnaissance, be a recon Marine Forward, to go and do that. But like I said, my body just started dying, and I was married at the time. I had 2 kids. I was like, I'm gonna try and get out and be a normal person. I feel like I can do that. If it's talking to people, I've always been weird with numbers. Talking to people, I've briefed generals, sergeant majors. I was like, I'm great at speaking with people, so why not do that? Got out, went to Lone Depot in Tennessee for a little while as a production analyst, which was like, a loan officer assistant. Ended up having some family emergencies, came back here. Went through the motions with some other companies. It just wasn't happening. I don't know what, I didn't have any guidance. I had no idea what to do. I didn't know loans whatsoever.
Yeah, a lot of people get into the business and they're like, here, just call some people and figure it out. But the reality is, it's an intricate process to get someone a mortgage. And unfortunately, in our industry, a lot of people go into it without a lot of, guidance, really. Even with like the licensing and all that, it doesn't really get you ready to be a loan officer.
No, it just teaches you legality things. It teaches you federal law and regulations, which if you're going to violate something, your computer will tell you before you do it. So it's like
pretty much.
That's like what I hear a lot about the real estate exam. You learn how to like read meters and stuff, and not how to do a single transaction, really.
It's what happens when you have government create policies, because it doesn't really prepare people. But anyways, that's a whole different topic, right?
So I actually, in the summer of 2017, I was going to I was going to throw my hands up and give up and say, you know what, this obviously wasn't meant to be. I had a contracting offer to go to Iraq. It's going to be some pretty nice money. And I kind of was like, whatever. Had a couple of things happen, and I don't know if he's on there. Ryan Anderson. Shout out to Ryan Anderson.
Yeah.
I had met him a little while back. He's another Army vet. And, he is an Army vet. And I just went and talked to him. I said, hey, like, you guys hiring over where you're at? And he's like, funny enough that we are. And then that just happened to be, like, the starting foundation of my mortgage career. It was only 2 years ago, but I feel like
you finally had a team around you that kind of gave a shit.
I had a broker that was very helpful, successful mindset. And I had Ryan, who was, the two of them really put me on a good path and kind of brought the whole thing back to life.
Yeah, both those guys are good, like business people. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. So obviously, at that point, you're trying, and you did it differently, right? So just so everybody understands, in any real estate position, there's a lot of different ways to do the business as it is. And, a lot of people in our area, they opt into doing a lead-based system where they're provided leads. They make 1,000 phone calls or in a call center, which is, there's nothing wrong with it because you make a lot of money. It's just a different model. And you chose at that point to create basically a brand, go out there, find relationships. So you went relationship-driven business as opposed to
you chose the 15-mile run.
Yeah, you chose the harder path for sure.
And that's how I could I sit and hammer out calls all day in a call center? Yeah, I'm sure I could. That is just not. It's not appealing to me. So you take the higher. You got to risk it for the biscuit. I say that all the time, right? So
risk it for the biscuit.
You got to risk it for the biscuit. I
like it.
All right.
And so you take a job that's 100% commission based. You're self-employed. Right?
Yeah.
So at that point, what am I going to do? Am I going to sit and hope people find me or come to me? That's just not how it works. So, I kind of just took it upon myself. Like, I have to go there and meet people. So that's how I met Ryan. I would go. I'll walk into anywhere and speak to anybody.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
I know
because
that.
I don't care.
So the audience understands. So Sal and I knew Nathan. We didn't know Nathan actually. So Sal and I, we were doing the same thing kind of around the same time. Sal and I were going out and trying to build our brand and going to meet people. And everywhere we went, there was Nathan Nix just hanging out. And I'm like, who is this kid? I go, why is he in our territory, the piece of shit? Get him out of here.
Yeah.
Right? But like everywhere we went, like he was, and then he also utilized social. You utilized social very, very well. And we knew of you before knowing you. And that is something that's impressive. And a lot of people don't really do well. You got to be on the streets, in my opinion, and get out there and just meet people. That's numero uno.
Absolutely.
And number two, to be able to marry that with a good social presence is really important because you expand your reach quite a bit, right?
I get it all the time. Like, I'll go places, I'll go to open houses, I'll go to events and things like that, and I'll meet someone. Oh, yeah, hey, you're Nathan. Yes, I am. I've seen you on Facebook.
You're so popular, buddy. You're so popular.
They're always like, I've seen you on Facebook. I've seen your videos. I've seen you do this and that. And I'm like, that's. Well, I'm glad to hear it because that's the whole purpose, right? So it's almost like it's like you said, people at least have an idea of who I am, like before I even meet them, to where it's a warm introduction to if it's somebody that I do. Because a lot of times, if you're, and I'll put this out there, if you're like a bigger agent and you happen to see me a lot, there's a reason for that. Just know it's not a coincidence. Like, I look at who I want to, like I find people.
You're targeting people?
I didn't want to put it, but yes, I target people. So, but I'm not a person that comes up and is like, hey, yo, I seen you do a lot of business, so like, you want to have a coffee? We can sit down and talk about how we're going to do this and that. Like, I don't, like you said, I like relationship based. I would rather have solid friends that refer me deals than work professionals that send
that you don't matter to, right?
Right.
And Sal, you and I went through this. It's like it's hard because you want to build relationships, but at the same time, we are a for-profit.
You can't force a relationship.
You can't. No,
you're not going to work with. You're not going to connect with everybody either.
You kind of got to look at it as like almost like dating, right? Like, hey,
it's not almost. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But like, hey,
100%
you don't want to come in and start, sending pictures and whatnot off the rip, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You got to earn them. You got to earn them. I got to know if I even want them from you. Too.
Yeah. No, you gotta diligently work that and not be annoying and understand what they need as opposed to just here's what I want from you.
The hardest thing for us in our business is because we're so relationship driven, and Sal and I kind of, we struggled with this at first. You make a lot of friends, but ultimately we got to get business too.
Right.
So how do you translate, the hey man, we're cool as shit. Like I love hanging out with you. Now it's time to, do some business. How do you it was always weird for me to transition. I never liked having to hey man, let's do I don't want to be that guy hey, let's do business.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, hey dude, how can I help you?
That's it right there.
How can I help you?
So I know we talk about it a lot. It's the biggest thing that I try to do with anyone I speak with, whether it's a real estate agent, financial advisor, somebody, is how I'm going to add value to your business.
Adding value. That's
right?
That's the word.
You
value.
You read books, you listen to podcasts, you go to business school. The word. So I took a couple classes because I was going to try and get an MBA in financing. That was something a while back. And
Waste of time. Anyways,
I learned that now. But the word value is literally introduced from the very beginning, and because it's a word that has the word value holds so much value on itself, right?
yeah.
And so that's what I tell. So when I talk with people, and I don't ask for a deal, I'll work with them, see if I like them, see if they like me, and eventually we'll have an organic conversation about either a deal that they have, or hey, let's do something together so we can get some more business. A lot of times I will talk with people, they'll tell me about something that they're having a struggle with. I'll know the answer to it. So now I'm not having to ask you for your deal. You're kind of learning that I know what I'm talking about, and then it will start to slide your way.
Yeah.
You become a subject matter expert.
Here's what happens in our industry, just so the audience understands out there, as loan officers and real estate agents, and how their relationship in past or even today, how it goes. It's generally, you know how many people we met with? Remember that one guy, Sal? You give me one, I'll give you two. So the whole premise that these people want to live off of is, if I give you referrals, I expect referrals back, and I want you to feed me. Well,
it's not the reality.
We were too far down the pipeline to do that. It does happen, but it's rare. We don't have if I had a big bucket of leads that I could just hand to people.
Often if you have that you work at like a lead shop, right?
Yeah.
If you work at a lead shop, you don't have much control often. So
yeah, it doesn't work.
Here's the analogy. The analogy I give to everyone. I said, you know what? I get that, because that's one of the things that real estate agents slap all the time. Well, I want leads. Well, great, so do I. But think of it this way: when I go to buy a car, who's the first person I talk to? I talk to a sales manager.
You don't talk to the finance manager.
I talk to a salesperson, right? It's the same way with people wanting to buy houses. The idea in their brain is, I got to find a real estate agent first to find me the house, then I worry about buying it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. As a business, we are working towards creating a situation where we can create leads for our partners.
Yeah, and there are opportunities that we can, right?
Right,
But it's
whenever
not
we
for
can.
one, and I think people need to value the value that a good job puts into the transaction, right? And that's hard because, for us, we have lots of insurance agents coming to try and work with us.
Tons,
right?
a lot, yeah.
There's a lot of good ones, but the relationship that I have personally is with someone who's always knocks it out, always answers the phone.
We get nothing
always
from
gets
it.
it
He
done.
handles it.
Yeah,
he
does.
handles it.
Literally,
My clients are happy, and he makes us look good.
people are like, maybe does he give you deals? And it's like,
No.
No,
Nothing.
not
He
really.
just-
I
yeah.
mean, you know, I'm
does
sure
his job and it works.
I'm sure
and
if he
works
can,
well.
he will. But
He makes us better. So here's
That's the
the
thing.
difference. So Sal and I kind of like, this is what we decided like that is most important, and this is where we found success, is getting our agents more success.
Right.
Right. It's like, I'm not there just to provide the mortgage. We're a team, and then where we found our best agents were the ones that we worked with closely, and we took them from 6 million to 10 million. You know what I mean? And we were able to help
by
them
not
get
giving
into-
them more deals, but by allowing them to
close
focus on
faster,
To be
put their
badasses,
efforts elsewhere.
yeah.
Like
referrals too. You know,
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
a good job for someone. It's true. You know, it doesn't seem like it, and you always hear it. And I guess you just don't even think about it. But oh yeah, you look at a deal, and then you look at 3 or 4 other deals that happened in the past. You know, the following 6 months. Well, that all stemmed from that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's like listen, if let's say you're a real estate agent and you did everything perfect, but your title company drops the ball and your mortgage company drops the ball, you're the guy that fucked it all up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So so that's one thing that I do see in you, and I think that's really what I want to talk to the audience about is if you're in this industry or any industry and you're in a relationship based industry, you cannot be fearful of putting yourself out there in any capacity, whether it's social, walking into an office, getting to know people. That is what we do. Ultimately, we do mortgages, but we are in the relationship business, right? So
yeah, and you have to understand too. And I had a conversation about this with 2 of my friends I was on vacation with because they're going through a pretty difficult time in their lives. You will. This is anyone that's looking to get into a commission-based business. You will suffer.
yeah,
You will suffer. You're going to suffer.
that
And
first
from
year
that,
is horrible.
but it's like a breakup, or any kind of traumatic incident that you have in your life. Is through the suffering always comes growth. That's why I'm so thankful for. I went through a pretty rough transition period. So I guess to answer your question from before, as far as if it jacked me up at all, I went through a pretty rough transition period getting out of the military. That really I kind of am now. This year, I'm really getting
Which I
on
think
track
I
for.
think unfortunately there isn't a good process by which to reacclimate you. Unfortunately,
Which would be difficult in any circumstance. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's a different life, it's a different job, and
Yeah.
it's crazy to think, you know, how many
Literally-
people my age that have
sleeping in dirt to wearing a suit and stuff like that. So,
Right.
yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Totally
Well, it's
different.
funny. You look at you're what 28.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got multiple kids, gone through all that. I'm
just putting it out there. But
well,
yeah,
I'm
no,
just
I've
saying,
lived
you've
a
lived more
life.
life than
Dude,
I
I
have
feel
lived-
like I ever will.
Nathan's like, I got
and you're
this kid over
28
here. I got that kid
28.
over there.
Yeah, no, I got 4 babies and everything. So I've lived I've lived a life, and I'm
And it's just started.
28 going through a midlife crisis. I just said it.
Well,
the other day,
but
you
the
know?
good
Yeah.
thing is like you said, you know, out of the crisis comes the next chapter, which
Yeah.
is the rest of your life.
It sucks. So and this is my friend, she's going through a pretty big sense of loss right now. So I told her, I was like, it's gonna suck. You're going to suffer, and this is gonna be your bottom. And she's in a situation where she did absolutely nothing wrong. She just kind of got super fucked, and it's gonna suck. But I said the good thing about when you're at bottom is that you are at your bottom, and at that point you can rebuild your foundation with whatever it is that you're gonna do it with. So I showed her, like Tony Robbins, I audio book all the time, listening to stuff. So I said at this point, and that's what I had to do with my life, is I hit a huge bottom. So I said, this is where you can rebuild your foundation exactly how you want to make it. And it's going to be whatever you make it, garbage in, garbage out, or you can build a solid foundation. You only go up from there.
Yeah, so a buddy of mine is going through something as well, and so he was really down. He's like, and I'm like, bro, life is built to kick you in the nuts repeatedly. Everybody gets kicked, and it doesn't matter how bad, or for that person, it's as bad as it's going to be. Your situation, but everybody gets
and
kicked.
you and I were talking about this yesterday. Like everyone thinks and everyone looks back, what their future could be.
Yeah.
Well, if I would have done
Yeah,
this in the past, right? What
What it could have
where it is, but really, there's only 2 options.
Yes.
It's either now,
or death.
right, or literally, and not even death, but it's nothing, right?
Yeah.
Because your life is what it is at this exact
It
moment.
doesn't matter what
You
happened. in the
can't
past.
just
It's where
hit a
you
button
are
and
right
flip
now.
it. So
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and to get all therapeutic, I guess there's one of the things I learned is when you have some kind of adversity in your life, you literally have 2 choices, and there's I don't care what anybody says, you have 2 choices.
Fight or flight.
No,
Oh, there's
not at
different
all.
ones. Oh,
There's
okay.
actually 4 different things. There's fight, flight, submission, posture, but that's
okay. All
that's,
right, Tony.
that's from a whole another book. But
Yeah.
anyway, so you can do, if you don't like where you're at, you can do one of 2 things. You can change the circumstance. So if you don't like where you're at, do something about it. or if you're in a position where you cannot do something about it, you just have to radically accept that it is what it is. That's it. You can either change the situation that you're in, or you have to accept what it is. There's literally no other option.
Yeah.
And when you understand that, it's like it's one of those things. I'm in a rough spot. I have to understand that this is what it is, and I literally can't do anything about it. But I'm gonna start building a stepping stone to change and better myself.
The unfortunate reality is we live in a world of a lot of victims, and a lot of people want to they want to hold on to the where they are today, to all like this person did that, this fucked me over here, it was that fault.
Yeah.
Ultimately, none of that matters. None of that matters.
Victims and instant gratification is nothing. That's all this generation.
A thing about working at Quicken, which kind of opened my eyes up to that, because it's one of their things, the isms or whatever. Don't be a victim, which is so funny because like nowadays it's so easy. In the past couple of years, right? Like people are like teaming up with victims, right?
That's what it's all about.
Mind you, for good reason in some circumstance, but for the most part, it's like, shut the fuck up.
You can't.
Like
you can't have.
Are you really like telling me that you can't do this because
Seriously.
of X?
Yeah.
Right.
It's
like,
but it's easy that way. It's the easy way.
It's much easier.
An easy way
it's
out
much
to
easier.
be a victim. And that's what a lot of people like to look at things that have gone on in my life, and they're like, okay, well, I understand that because your military history and things like that. Like I used to play that off, but there's nothing that's gone on in my life that I have not put myself in, and so like I do not claim to be a victim whatsoever because I have made the decision.
You just got to deal with
in
it.
certain circumstances, right? Like, for example, your military background, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people would be like if you're using that as a crutch,
A lot of
right?
people do.
Which a lot of people do. A lot
Can't
of people
stand
are
it.
afraid to say something to them, especially if like their boss or whatever would be like, dude, like, I don't like that's like dishonorable to say something, but the reality is people need to realize that like everyone has something that
Everybody
they
has
could use as a
something.
crutch or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
But again, it's like, what are you doing about it?
And
So, like,
sometimes it's valid to a degree, but not really necessarily a reason to
Right.
stop doing what you're doing.
so
Nobody cares.
Yeah,
Nobody cares about your problems.
being diagnosed.
Who gives a shit, bro?
Being
Nobody gives
diagnosed
a
with
shit.
PTSD and stuff like that, like I can run on that all day.
Yeah, you're
But
disabled.
the simple fact of the matter is like I could run on it and do a bunch of stupid things and be like, well, I'm crazy. I have PTSD. What do you expect? But like that only goes so far because and a lot of people have the mindset too of we don't do enough for our veterans when they get out and this and that. And I will say this. I look into the camera and say this. Me being a veteran myself, there are 1.5 million things that veterans can do to help themselves.
They just don't
get
take
better.
advantage of them.
They don't
right?
take
Is that
advantage of it. So
Okay.
therefore, I can play a victim because I am a veteran and I have PTSD and this and that. But what have you done to help us? So like I have gone through a lot of intensive therapy to help fix my life because I made
you took
the
it
decision.
upon yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's because I refuse to let myself be a victim of anything that's gone on. And at the same time, there's I went to Afghanistan in my first one in 2009. There's guys that went to Iraq in 03, 04 Fallujah. There's guys that went to Afghanistan 2001, 2002, like we watched the other day.
Yeah.
Before that, there's guys that were in
Yeah.
deserts. There's always people that have had things worse than I have. So I can never sit and say that I'm just so far gone because how can I sit and look at World War II veteran that stormed the beaches of Normandy and say I'm loopy, because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean it's
Do something about it.
I mean,
Right.
look, this is really good stuff because I mean, this translates to anyone, either real estate agents, loan officers, anybody, anywhere. If you are feeling bad about yourself at some point, you just got to realize that nobody cares.
Read Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I'm listening to it right now. He has this thing called Accountability Mirror, and he talks about that exactly. Is when you have something that you don't like, you face it for what it is. So like if you're fat, then you go to your accountability mirror. It's a mirror, and you look at it, and you don't say, I need to lose a couple pounds. You like, I'm fat. That's because you have to look at it for what it is, right?
Yeah.
I'm overweight. I
Yeah.
have to do something. So that's what he says.
But it's so hard for me to lose weight. I don't have time.
Great. So set, and that's what he says. He talks about it in there. He says, all right, cool. Accountability mirror, get a postage stamp.
Yeah.
You put on there, drop
Look, it's
1
hard.
to 2 pounds the next week.
Look, it's hard. These things that we're talking about is not natural in our instincts.
No, not at all.
Our instincts want us to be able to allow us to feel bad and like say it's not our fault. It is very difficult to be self-aware enough to say these aren't real.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
control.
and especially in a society where now more than ever in the past, which is just going to be truer and truer every single day, like people use their minds to work, right? It's pretty hard to refute like going out and, you know, pouring concrete or whatever, but like when it's a mind game with yourself every single day, not that taken away from that, right? Like that's a good job too and needs to be done, but like when you have to use your mind, like it's very difficult to be in the game. Yeah. Because you can go to the office and you can literally fuck off the whole day.
And
you can't
like
really do that physically. And
Eric Thomas says it great. He talks about him being aligned. Certain people, like the people in this room right now, are just wired differently because I can't.
I don't think we're wired differently. I think we just understand it. Like I don't.
But that's the thing.
I don't want.
You say that because that's because
I get it, but
we've accepted it.
Yeah,
I've accepted the fact that like I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that.
Right. And that's because of probably some things that you've done
to
but rewire your brain. So
you know what I hate? You know what I hate? This is what I hate. This is what I hate. You know, Sundays are the night, like all these like rah-rah bullshit, right? Mondays, if you're not looking forward to Mondays, dude, the reality is no, that voice in your head that says, bro, I don't really want to get out of bed, that's a real voice. And if you don't, if you pretend that's not really happening, then you can't really acknowledge or deal with it. So pretending that they're like, oh, all these people that don't want to work on a Sunday night. Dude, no, nobody really wants to do that. I don't want to wake up at 6 in the morning and start writing emails in my head and like figuring stuff out. I don't want to, but I do because you do it because there's an end goal.
You're accountable to yourself.
Yeah. There's a greater picture.
Right.
Or you're okay with it. If you're okay with where you're at in your circumstance, then that's fine. Then don't do those things.
I love
just
Gary
don't
V.
complain about it.
I love Gary V, but Gary V, you're full of shit when you say I just do that, and like he makes it sound like there is no voice in his head that says anything. Well, if there wasn't, then you wouldn't have been talking about it.
Yeah.
You would be just being that. But there is a voice in all our head that says, I don't want to do this right now.
Yeah.
And it just depends on how you react to that.
It's called conscious.
Yeah. So that's just how I feel about it. So that's enough of the motivational bullshit. So so I do want to talk about this case that we've been going through real quick. It's a real case, guys. So I did some more research on this case against NAR, Realtors, Remax, Keller Williams. They're all being sued, dude. And the people, these lawyers that are suing them, they're big boy lawyers. They beat tobacco. They beat. They've got like a ton of cases under their belt. They've won billions and billions of dollars. And this deal, this lawsuit, it's not going to get settled because the settlement would be way too high to do anything. Like NAR can't absorb that much money if they wanted to settle. What it is basically, and then you've got Keller Williams. What's his name? Jerry Keller? Is it Jerry? Gary. He's up on stage saying, it's in the seller's contract that you get commission, so you get that. That's the whole crux of this issue. Is they're saying the sellers are being forced to pay the buyer's commission, and there's no other option for it. So, anyways, the bottom line that I'm seeing with this right now is it is an actual story. What's more concerning to me is real estate agents and people out there. Like, I feel like they're not really taking it seriously. They're not like thinking about it. Like, hey, this is the real thing that could change our industry. People are talking about, the market and this stuff and that other stuff. But, this is going to be, if this goes through, there will be major changes in the way that real estate is conducted in our country. And I don't know that people are really talking about it enough.
Well, yeah, I mean, most threats aren't seen until they hit you in the face.
It's not directly affecting me. I'm not going to pay attention.
Right.
That's it.
That's really what's happening right now, right? But even NAR is not really doing much. You know what I mean?
But with all that being said, too, like as a real estate agent, it's like anything, right? Like hearing about a crash or worrying about an earthquake or a tornado.
I guess you're right.
It's kind of like, what are you going to do? Right?
I got to live my life, right?
Live in fear. You just kind of got to do that. And when the threat comes, I mean,
you deal with it then, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of screwed up to think like that, but it's like, what are you not going to drive your car because you might get in a crash?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
right.
If you get one, hopefully, you deal with it the right way.
There is something you can do. There's these guys. They're from the National Real Estate Post. They do a really good job. And they've started a petition to do an investigation because what they believe that these Zillow and all these other companies, they're the ones that are actually pulling the strings on the other side because they're the ones that are going to win on this, right? So they want an investigation done to see who's actually behind all this. Is it something? Yeah, you know what I mean. It's at least something. Go put your name on that petition. If you're a real estate agent, if every real estate agent put their name on the petition, something would happen, right?
Yeah.
And
Hopefully.
if what's the harm? So if anybody's wondering, like, just go to National Real Estate Post. They'll have a link there, and then you'll be able to sign this petition at the very least. And we'll put the link in the podcast. But do something at least. I mean, if you're not going to do anything, I get it. Like, you can't really worry about it, but have it on your radar at the very least, in my opinion.
It's already off mine.
It's gone on yours, right? You're
Yeah,
done. You're done.
Honestly, we
regulations
talked
got
about it 4 or
slapped.
5 times, and I guess I just
Yeah.
don't.
You just don't care.
No, I honestly don't even know what it's about anymore.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think he does either. I don't know if we're.
Yeah. No, I actually watch podcasts. Yeah. I listen to it.
Well,
I talk on it and I'm like commenting on it, but I don't even know what it is. They're getting mad because they're forced to sign a contract that will pay a 3% to the buyer's agent.
they're suing basically on the premise that buyers are being steered and paying high, and sellers are paying higher commissions than
Got it.
necessary.
Yeah.
You
Right.
See what I'm saying? So that's the premise. That's the premise, and it's a class action lawsuit, and they want damages.
Because the buyer's agent will go to a listing that has a 3% as opposed to a 2 or a flat or whatever.
And not only right, and the sellers they sign a contract that says they have to pay 3% to the buyer. And what if the buyer, they're
Yeah, but well, I get that from the buyer's agent being the one who's misleading their client.
Yeah.
and not only that, the seller's agent is forcing them to sign this contract.
No one's putting a gun to their head.
People just don't read it. It's almost one of those things.
That's
Like, they're not
consumer
reading.
shame on them.
It's consumer protection. That's what we.
Well,
went through.
it's probably pretty night and day in their contract
Yeah.
too. That's the thing.
Nobody reads
You're just
that.
kind of
Another-
hoping that the person
And then you
that
got
that
some
real estate
victim,
agent has a,
right? It's
has
like
a
when I
best
bought
interest.
I bought a car 2 weeks ago, sight unseen. Right? I had the guy FaceTime it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And man, I was going through that contract, and it's like, hold harmless. This.
Yeah. Yeah.
Car could come in. It's cut in half.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know in my head, like, what am I going to do?
But you
Right?
read it, you know the risk involved, and most people. The one thing,
Right.
I think that what you're saying
But
right now is read your.
you're selling your
contracts.
house.
Read your contracts.
Read
Yeah.
your contract.
Read your contracts. Okay, so
Or
we're
when you're
going
buying one,
to keep
too.
up on that. If you guys want, we'll leave the link below to go to the petition. Another thing I really want to talk about real quick is jobs report. Jobs report came out really good. We were expecting 165 new jobs created. 224 were created. 224,000 were created. Unemployment edged higher, but it's at 3.7%.
Rates are up a little bit. They've been
Yeah.
sliding for the past couple
Yeah.
months. If you look at that bond, it's starting to.
Yeah.
creeping back up.
Those
Yeah.
the past couple of days.
Here's
I'm
what's
gonna
interesting.
Lock all my loans.
Unemployment is at a 50-year low, 3.7%. Wage growth went up 3.1%. So, like, that whole part of the economy is doing really well. And, we keep talking about this recession. I just don't know where it's going to come from. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, the recession's coming. I get it. The stock market, the economy has to breathe. There's going to be a correction at some point. It's normal. It's like breathing, right? It's going to take a breath. It's going to chill out for a minute. And I don't think it's going to be that bad, especially this time. But I don't know where it's coming from because our jobs and our economy is doing well.
Everything's great, but it truly is. I think with the current situation of like the working economy, right? But you got to still look at what everything's backed by, like trillions of dollars of debt.
That's
right?
that's the big thing.
I mean,
yeah.
that's probably where things, if anything, in my head, and I'm not an economist, but that's like the looming, like, hey, everything's great. It's like, pulling up to Somerset Mall in your Ferrari and like everything's on
Well,
credit.
you have $4 trillion in debt.
Everything's on credit, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, yeah, shit's tight, but not really.
Yeah, there's some interesting things that are going on, especially like I don't know if you guys ever follow like cryptocurrency or anything, but that's actually starting to spike back up again, which I think it's just interesting.
Crypto, I was deep in cryptocurrency.
It was annoying.
I was that guy that was like, I'm gonna be rich. I took 4,000. I made it into
Dude, and we did
18K.
like quadruple our money. I wish I would have put way more in because I cashed out at the high time too.
It's going back up right now, and so I mean,
I lost everything. I cashed out
at
$3,800.
$10,000 a Bitcoin or 12 or whatever it is now, right?
yeah,
But-
what maxed out at like
Yeah, but
19
dude, there's
or
no.
something.
Yeah.
So for all the Bitcoin people out there and the cryptocurrency,
I know nothing about it.
Here's
so
I actually understand it, but until there's actual use cases and it gets used and actually has a purpose, which it's starting to happen, but it's not there yet. Now, is there an argument to say, hey, buy $100 worth of crypto, and then 25 years from now you'll probably make some money, probably depending on what you pick. But it's Russian roulette. You know how many cryptocurrencies there are? There's like thousands of cryptocurrency. It's like penny stocks. So how do you know?
Well,
like,
it's weird because a lot of them are just different technologies, right? And it's like the stock and the technology to a degree.
You want to know what's
It has
really
to be a useful technology.
You want to know what's really interesting? Facebook created a cryptocurrency.
Yeah, they did.
That is interesting. That's going to potentially change the way we pay for things.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, you can go on Facebook Marketplace, find an item, and open up a messenger, ask them about it, and buy it right there. Send them the money through Facebook.
Yeah.
I think
It's pretty legit.
I think it's interesting too.
Better than eBay or whatever. Minus you got like
Facebook is just taking
For
over everything.
keeping it industry related, you can utilize cryptocurrency as a source of funds to close on houses now.
We had a deal.
which I
one,
think
yeah.
is
I've done a
very
few
interesting.
where it's sourceless deposit, right? Get 2
Yeah.
months of their Coinbase account or whatever, right? And okay.
So next week on Cryptocurrency Today.
As long as you could show it going in, right? Or 2
Yeah.
months of it being seasoned, but
So what do you guys think about the housing market right now? We got we got 5 minutes until we go into 3 questions. Right now, what are you feeling in the market, Sal? Are you seeing more pre-approvals? Are you seeing less pre-approvals? What are you seeing? Are buyers getting outbid?
I would just say it's I don't know. It's normal. I don't know. We're downstream, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when people say they're slow or they're not getting action, we feel that usually a couple weeks later, right?
Yeah.
And then after we receive that wave of pre-approvals while everyone's slow, right? And those buyers get activated to go again, then it's like a volleyball, right? Like it's constantly being passed back and forth between lenders and agents until they're put a deal together.
Yeah, but I
Right.
guess on the deal side, I mean, we're pretty involved in knowing if they got beat out. Like,
Well,
you know,
a lot of things too.
I don't think-
A lot of people maybe just refied and saved some money, and it's like, I don't think we're gonna move.
yeah.
My house payment just got $200 cheaper,
Seriously, yeah.
right? So above and beyond that, like we could speculate all day, and I always say this, but the hell do I know?
I'll tell you right
Right.
now that in my area in Novi, it's the market is completely stalled. Like there's way more houses on the market and very few sales, and it just things aren't moving as quick where I'm
I
at.
think
there.
buyers are thinking what we always get asked. Obviously, that they would be thinking that if they asked us it, but well, is there a crash coming? Is my house, if I buy it now, like I
What's
might
it gonna be
wait,
worth?
and, I might wait and end up getting it cheaper, but as we
But how much cheaper, bro? We're not going through 2008.
maybe
No, I don't think.
probably not,
No, we're not.
but
What if you walked out? What if
actually,
you walk
if you
outside,
think
get hit by
about
a
the
car,
problem
you know?
of the debt that we have, like, should there be some, calls on that from China or whatever, like that could be absolutely crippling to our whole economy.
There's a million things that could cripple us as an economy, yes, but I just don't see it happening personally.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
I think war is always a good option. That's why I was kind of super.
It's a
hyped.
good option.
So I was kind of super hyped up for that whole Iran thing.
What do you mean you're hyped up? You like war? I mean, you're a war
I
guy.
was in the military for 8 years, man. I was gonna stay in, but
yeah,
I
but
didn't.
don't you think like why are we fighting Iran for what reason? But I mean,
I
why
don't ask. So here's
Yeah, yeah,
here's the thing. I told. And this is what I told. I
That's
told
why
Kyle this yesterday.
that's why we like having you on our team.
I told Kyle this yesterday. Like we were getting to go tour some houses yesterday, and we took those boxes. I said, "Hey, dude, we're grabbing 2 boxes." He said, "Why are we grabbing 2 boxes?" I said, "Boss said grab 2 boxes, so I'm grabbing 2 boxes." And that, that's just sometimes how you got to be,
Yeah.
But that's just what it was. Well, I think it's. I think if we go to war with Iran or anything like that, it's sparking World War III, personally. And you kind of look back, wars have kind of been healthy for an economy because it does create more jobs, things like that. Me just being prior service, that would be gnarly because hopefully we go to war with conventional. Well, I don't know what would happen at that point.
What are you saying?
I don't
You
really
think
know.
we should go to war.
This is just me, meathead Nathan Nix here, but I think war, I think, is always great.
But on one level, like, what do you like about it?
What do I like about going to
Yeah,
war?
why is it a good thing? I'm just curious.
I guess it's not a good thing. War, certain things like that are fun, man. I mean, getting shot at's pretty scary, but at the same time, it's actually super cool.
Yeah, man, we have nothing in common. So
Yeah, it's fun. Like you want an adrenaline rush, like you go to the gym, take some pre-workout stuff, and
Man,
Yeah.
just take a couple shots,
I'll
near
go,
you
I'll
and
go
see how.
paintballing, bro. That's what I'll do. That's as close as I'll get.
Paul would be like the typewriter guy.
No, Paul. You know what Paul said yesterday? He was like, "I'm going to be the guy that if I were to ever go to war,
I'd lose
I would
it.
just go and run right away,
I'd
and
lose
then
it.
I'd be the guy that's out there getting shot instantly."
I'd
Like,
lose it because I'm like, I'm gonna kill you all. I would get so hyped.
We need
up.
that guy. It's called running the rabbit.
Yeah.
Go ahead, run out there, distract everybody, and then you just take the hit, and we see where everyone's out. Where
It's called
everybody
the
else.
Jeez,
It's called the
man.
sacrifice. Okay, we're gonna do 3 questions. All right, you ready?
Do it.
All right. What scares Nathan Nix? Obviously, bullets don't.
My mother.
Your mom scares you. That's a good answer. That's a really good answer. If you could go back and change anything from your past, would you and why?
No, because I'm here for whatever reason I'm meant to be.
Got it. Okay. And where is Nathan Nix 2 years from now?
In a Lambo truck.
Lambo truck. Damn. Dude, Lambo has a truck?
Have you not seen this thing?
No.
Urus.
Really?
Urus.
Urus, whatever.
Urus. The
Is it sick?
Lamborghini Urus. Yeah, it's nasty.
It's all right.
I got a picture of one if you want to see it.
You're not into it?
Personally, not a fan.
Isn't I'm a
I'm
dad.
not a Lambo guy.
I want a
anyways.
Lambo, but I'm a dad, so I
Right.
need
No, I think there's cooler SUVs for $400,000, but it's
They're
pretty
not.
badass.
240. So you want to go buy a Cullinan? You're going to start raking up some big racks there. You want to buy a Bentayga?
Okay,
If
okay.
I'm buying something for $240,000, I hope I can afford the $400,000.
All right. There we go. So thank you, everyone, for
Maybe.
listening. Hopefully we gave you
Unless
some
I'm that guy at
insight
Somerset.
on mentality and cars and cryptocurrency on our real estate show. We love you. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.